Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of On Air with Owen. A really exciting one today because I am joined by Benjamin Dennehy, not Dennehy, the UK's most hated sales trainer, somebody whose content I've absolutely loved following, entertains me, makes me smile, challenges my thinking all the time for a number of years now. So firstly, Benjamin, welcome.
Owen, thank you for having me on. And as you say, we've known each other via LinkedIn for many years. I reckon going back 5-6 years, probably.
Yeah.
We've always interacted, sometimes locked horns, but it's always been cordial and polite. And it's quite nice to leap from the online to the real world. Well, if Zoom can be the real world, so as close as one gets. Yes. So no, it's great to be here. Thanks for asking me to be a guest.
I absolutely love the fact that you said yes, and you're right. We've got a lot of similar things we talk about in our content, but we also challenge each other from time to time around our thinking on things. And I'm certainly a believer that's really healthy, and I think we've always done that in a really professional way, and I think we continue to do that. One of the things I love about LinkedIn is that I hear different opinions and I see different perspectives, and I'm not going to agree with them all, and you're not going to agree with them all, but it's great that you have an opinion and it's really clear what your opinion is, and that means I know what you stand for. So now, really excited to get into this today. Right. We're going to talk about a lot of things. A lot of your content is centered around outbound. Yeah. We do a lot of outbound, so I know we're going to focus in on that. We're going to look at some behaviours, some of the terrible behaviours that we see in the majority of salespeople, because I know that while you're out there training, you must see the worst of the worst and the best of the best, and really have an understanding of that. And we might even touch on things like whether you should or shouldn't be charging for a proposal, because I know that's a subject close to your heart, let's put it that way. So look, keen to get into it. Before we get into it, for any crazy person out there who doesn't know you, can you give us 2 minutes? Who are you? What's the business? What do you do?
Yeah. So, to actually point out, I'm known as the UK's most hated sales trainer. I always get asked, why are you? You know, so the honest answer is this: I made it up. I point that out to everybody. I made it up. Just like McDonald's has. I'm loving it. It's made up. Or Nike, do it. It's made up. Right, so there is no international body that measures hatred towards sales training. So it's made up, and I made it up because when I was first starting out in being a sales trainer, I needed to stand out from the noise. There's a lot of noise. And what struck me is if you went on LinkedIn, what does anyone who's good at sales put in their title? Leader, guru, number one, top salesman, influencer of the year, ABC's top. It's this, look at me, love me, love me, love me. And I thought, nobody wants to be hated. Which means if I take that spot and just plant my flag and scream the loudest, I'll own it. Now, only an idiot's going to come along now and say, I'm more hated. It just looks stupid. So that was the logic behind it. And then obviously Trump came along with his hat, and I thought, I'm nicking that. That just adds to the character, right? The most hated politician in the history of politics. And he's got a great red hat that I can nick. So I stole that from him. So I've been doing sales training for the last 6 years, pretty much full on. I started off as a BDR. I was a professional telephone prospector. Nice. And all I did was set appointments for advertising agencies. And I did that for about 10 years. And I was good at it. And I started off at a company sort of similar to yours, where you work and you got an account and your job is to get so many appointments. And then after 18 months, I just thought, why do I have to work for these guys? Why don't I just go out and find my own clients, offer the same service? So that's what I did. And so for 10 years, I was a self-employed business development phone monkey, as I used to call myself. The phone monkey. And I was very good. And my clients were all advertising agencies, predominantly London-based. And all they wanted was 4 meetings a month. And if they got in front of a brand manager of Pepsi or Coke or Riz or whatever, any household product you've seen on your shelves, they were happy. And they didn't care if they didn't sell, just as long as they got in front of someone. And this is where I started my journey on how do people sell them? Because I don't want to spend the rest of my life just picking up the phone. So so that's how I got into sales training, was to explore how do people sell. I met some great people along the way. You probably know Marcus Kalki. Met him. He taught me a lot of interesting things, and we remained friends. And then I went out trial and error and read not a huge amount of books, but a few, and decided just to get good at the bits that people say you should get good at, rather than just intellectually read it.
Yeah.
You know how Zoom has got everyone with their fucking library behind them with all their sales books and say, hey, look at me. And it's like, yeah, but can you do anything in any of them? You know? And it's like, so I thought, I'm just going to pick a few things and just get good at it. Because I believe that if I was good at this, it would work. And that's all I've done. And I got good at it. And as I got better at it, I started to teach people. And actually, the greatest way to learn is to teach. Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Thank you. So let's get in, right? Because I want to get as much out of your brain as I can in this 30 minutes or so. Prospecting. I'm going to talk about phone prospecting because we're a phone first agency. We don't worry about other things right now in this conversation.
Phone prospecting.
Why is it that so many people are so bad at it?
First of all, deep down, everybody hates it. Even I hate it.
Yeah.
I'm good at it, but I hate it. There's got to be a better way to spend your life than having to phone up strangers and try and get them to listen to you and then want to talk. It's got rejection. It's got challenges. It is frustrating. And it's just downright bloody awful. It is the grunt work of sales. And I point this out, every profession has grunt work. Lawyers, surgeons, doctors, there's grunt stuff they don't want to do. But you've got to do it because it's part of the job. And for prospecting, it's hard because it goes back to childhood programming, things like that. And our whole lives, we were given a set of rules which no one told us don't apply as a grown-up. And we were always taught it's rude to interrupt, right? We're always taught that if we're asked a question, we've got to answer a question. We're taught that you should never talk to strangers. And then you grow up and you get a job and they say, here's a list of busy strangers, interrupt them. And by the way, you better know the answer to their questions. So psychologically, you're programmed to dislike doing it. And so whenever I sit in a company and I say, okay, guys, let's hit the phones. I just want to hear you. Do you know how long it takes from me making that statement for the first call to be made? It's 10 minutes on average. Because it's like, what are you doing? And and they're going through this CRM. I can't call him. No, he's not. And if somebody just call, it doesn't matter who. Just phone somebody. And there is just this reluctance to do it because it's adversarial a lot of the time. Well, most people don't like conflict. And so they don't want to pick up. They know the gatekeeper's going to ask them 4 questions. Who are you? What's it about? Are they expecting your call? Now, the programming says they've got to answer. So they answer, and as soon as you answer, they know you're a salesman, so they tell you to F off. If you don't answer, because they don't know how to be assertive, they tend to be rude. And if you be rude, you piss people off and they tell you to F off. So it's designed to make it difficult. So this is why they hate it. Because, and also, I think the other reason is people don't think it works deep down. They genuinely think no one's going to buy from me. And if you're thinking that, one, you're right, but one, you're wrong. First of all, a prospecting call isn't about selling. I'm not trying to get someone to give me money, particularly if it's B2B. What I'm trying to do is get permission to have a longer conversation to figure out if you have problems we can fix and if we have a solution you want. So that's wrong. I'm not there to sell anything. I'm maybe trying to buy their time. I'm trying to get half an hour of their time. But so I think that's one of the reasons they just don't think it works because you're going in with the wrong mindset.
Yeah, I think you've got a really, really valid point there. Question for you. You've obviously trained a lot of people over the last however many 6 years or so full time on it.
Yeah.
Are there people that just can't do it? That you're never going to train them to do it, or can everybody be trained to do it?
I think everybody can be trained because training is learning a skill. The question is, do you want to?
You want to.
And this is a fundamental problem. I like golf, but I don't want to be a professional golfer, which means I will never be very good at golf. But I can play golf, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And you know this, 85% of people in sales don't want to be there. They're there because they needed a job. This is not what they were called to do or what they want to be. So if deep down you don't want to be there, why are you going to invest time and money going through a painful process of changing how you act to get better at something you don't want to do? And I think that's the problem. So I'm up front with every company I get in front of. I say, I'm going to be up front. 85% of your guys aren't going to do a thing different as a result of this training.
Yeah.
15% will get it. 5% will run with it. 10% will take bits they really like and get good at it. But the most, they're not going to do a lot. And every company says we don't care because it's only the 15% that matter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, but no, I think that's it deep down because most people don't want to be in sales. They don't want to get very good at it. Most are still playing the lotto. They're waiting for their, I can leave. You know, if I won the lottery, I'd still be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I charge a lot more.
Yeah, right.
Right? That's the only thing that would change is I thought, sod it. I don't care if you don't want to pay me 20 grand a day. I mean, I got 6 million in the account. So that would be the only thing that changes. But I wouldn't say, oh, thank fuck for this. I'm out. Phone up. I don't have a boss, but if I had one, I quit. Fuck you, Slam. Which is what will happen to a lot of salespeople if they won the lottery.
Yeah, yeah. I think you make a really valid point. And it's hard to get people who don't want to do something to get better at something. Yeah. So the mentality plays a huge role in it. One of the things that I see across your content, your the themes of your sessions, those sorts of things, is I think you bring a real honesty, a frankness in the way that you talk around sales, which I love, by the way. Absolutely, absolutely love that. And you talk a lot, and I see your comments to people where they moan about buyer behavior. Let's talk about buyer behavior for a second. They moan about the way that prospects behave. And your comment, and you are so consistent with this, is it's your fault. It's your fault. And I love the way you say that because it always stems back to, well, you're allowing them to do that. You're giving them the conditions in which they can behave that, and that's normal and acceptable. Can you just talk around that? I just want to understand, what are salespeople doing that creates bad buyer behavior? And what are the things that you advise people to start doing to stop it?
Well, again, it all goes back to our programming when we're younger. And the problem most salespeople have is let's not say most. We've got to average this out somehow. Let's say your typical business development. I don't even really know the difference between a BDR and an SDR, to be honest.
I don't think anyone does. I think it's just how cool you are, I think.
Yeah, I know. So anyone that's got to be in sales, right? Say they're 27 years old and they're tasked with phoning managing directors or CEOs or people at C-suite, which is the only level you should be calling at. First of all, there's an equality issue. They don't see themselves as the person's equal that they're calling. So instantly the prospect is in a dominant position. And when you get through to dominant people, and people who are directors are dominant and assertive, they talk and sound in a specific way. And it activates their inner child. And so what happens is their inner child does all the talking. And grown-ups don't buy from children. And so when you act and sound like a child, when you sound needy, begging, pleading, subservient, they hear this, they sense weakness, and it's like, you're not my equal, you're not on my par. Why would I give you half an hour of my time? You don't even sound like someone that belongs at the table.
Yeah.
So they've got that psychology which prevents them. Yeah. And if you want to be treated differently, you have to act differently. I can't stress that. All salespeople pretty much act the same. They phone someone up and they go, hi, is that Bob? Hey, Bob, my name's Benjamin from ABC Company. How are you today? Instantly, you sound like 90% of every phone call I've just had that morning. Yeah. Which means I will now treat you the same way. So if you want to be treated differently, you have to act differently. And the other thing I tell people is for every unsuccessful, unfulfilling, and unrewarding relationship you have in life, there's always one common denominator. You. Right? So if you are constantly breaking up with your girlfriend or losing your job or getting fired or always in debt, it's not the bank, the employer, or the woman's fault. There seems to be a theme here. You. And so you have to change. An alcoholic can't blame pubs and the pub industry for drinking. Well, it's everywhere. It's not my fault. They just make it so cheap. It's like, no. You decide to do this. If you want to be better at sales, you have to change how you behave. Now, you have to start seeing your prospect as your equal. You have to start seeing them as not better than you. You have to start seeing as someone you can have a grown-up conversation with, someone you can challenge. Yeah. So many salespeople are scared to challenge a decision maker because they want to be liked. And then it goes back to that traditional inbuilt human desire. We all want to be loved, liked, and accepted. And the easiest way is to fit it. Don't rock the boat. Don't upset. Don't challenge. That's well and good, but not in sales. I don't want my lawyer or my doctor trying to be my mate. I want them to ask me the uncomfortable, challenging questions that I don't want to answer, but he knows he's got to ask them, because without the answers to these questions, I can't give you the best advice. And so it's getting that level of parity.
We're saying, I love that. We're saying that, and you've said it, you sort of adhered to it a couple of times, that salespeople have got to get out of the pattern, get out of the normal, do something different, stand out, which probably means going through a process where there's a level of discomfort because I'm doing something that's not natural to me. And that leads into the conversation around, sales is it's almost like an acting job, isn't it? You've got to play a role, and then that role becomes natural over time. I'm guessing there's a time at which, I mean, you were in sales doing the job for a long time. Guessing there's a time where that wasn't natural for you and it became natural. How long did that process take for you?
Oh, now that's a good question, because it's a gradual thing, right? You never see a change in yourself. It's not until you look back. And sometimes you need external validation that you're good. You don't see, and as I say, you don't see change in yourself. So it probably took me a good 18 months to transition. I would say, so it's not a quick fix. And I say that to all my trainers. If you come and work with me, you're not going to be fixed. This takes a long time, because you've got to do behavior that you don't believe you should or could do or will work. And because your belief says don't do it, you tend not to do it. But there's another part that says, but I believe if I was good at this, it would work. So you've got that internal dialogue conflict. One bit saying don't do it, it won't work. The other saying it will work. And one of those voices wins. So it took me, a good 18 months to 2 years probably to change the mindset by doing stuff that I didn't believe I could do, but I knew that if I could do it, would work. And I remember one day, and the journey started, I watched my managing director. It was a Friday afternoon. I'd been in maybe 6 months into this phone calling role with this company. A Friday afternoon, trying to get an appointment. And I did what every salesman said. It doesn't work. Nobody's answering the phone. The picture's wrong. The product's wrong. And my boss, he was a surly, miserable old git. And he said, "Get up." And he sat down in my chair at my desk, and he went to my CRM system, and he just said, the reception guy, he goes, "Put me through to Owen, will you? Thanks." And I remember thinking, fuck, that's rude. But she put him through. And then he got through. But as soon as he got through to the person he was talking to, he changed. He was confident, but he was very jovial. He was a bit cheeky chappy. And they had an comment, and at the end of it, he got an appointment. And he hung up the phone. He just looked at me. He said, "That's how you fucking do it. Now stop moaning." And I remember watching it and thinking, fuck, everything he did, I couldn't do, because that wasn't me. And then I realized he's done this so much. He doesn't need to be Tigger on speed. "Hi, how are you today?" All this. He knew what to say to the gatekeeper to get past. He was direct. He was assertive. He was blunt. It worked. It could have failed, but on this occasion, it worked. He got through, delivered his pitch, got an appointment, and sounded like he belonged. And that's what struck me. He didn't sound like me. I remember thinking, but I don't run a company. This guy's worth millions. I'm just on 22K a year plus commission. And that's when I realized I'm going to be like him. But I don't want to be like him. And as you said, fine, be an actor for 5 minutes like him. And you are right. Selling is acting. If you're you on the phone, you will fail more than you'll win.
Love that. Great story as well. And I would say great leadership. I'm not sure it was, but getting on and doing it. Well, good on you for jumping in and doing it and showing you. Sometimes there's a lot of leaders out there who wouldn't be prepared to do that as well. So
that's it. If you can't do what you teach, you shouldn't be teaching it. And if you can't demonstrate what you do, then again, you shouldn't be teaching it.
On that note, so I know that you get in and you do it. You get in and you do it. So are you doing it for your own business? Are you in your own business now, or are you doing it as part of the training?
I don't do a lot of telephone prospecting for my business. Because as I point out to everybody, prospecting isn't forever. This is also the problem with salespeople. They get a job. They're 12 months in and they're still prospecting. And they say, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to quit. So they get another sales job. Guess what? You're back at zero, got to prospect again. If you just stick it out, you'll get to the point where you don't have to prospect because you've built up a base. You've got regular. So I'm the same. I couldn't wait to the day I didn't have to prospect. But I remember me and my wife were just talking about it this morning. And she goes, "Do you remember all those years ago when you said, oh, I can't imagine the day when I'm not going to be doing this.
Mm.
It just never felt like it would come. But it has, because I spent years not just prospecting, but building up a brand, delivering what I'd say. But when I get with clients, I still phone. I still pick up the phone to demonstrate, look, guys, I don't know anything about your business or your product or your client.
Yeah.
Tell me what you fix. Give me 3 things. What fixes? Fine. Now I've got enough. I can go in and make my call. And every time, I may get an appointment, I may not. But the comment that I get is, your conversations are so different. Nobody's rude to you. Nobody has a go at you. They all give you a lot of information. Because if I'm not getting an appointment, I'm gathering information which will be useful later on. And so that's the other thing you've got to get across to salespeople. My job isn't to get everyone to say yes. Everybody's got to get an appointment, got to get a lead, got to get a deal. No, I'm thinking, if this person has problems I can fix, they better be grateful I'm calling. The problem is I don't know. So first I need to figure that out. Then we'll decide what happens. So it's, yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what, I don't know. I've lost my train of thought.
That's fine. It's all good. So let's talk about the conversation, because I've watched a couple of videos of you talking around how to structure a call. And I know one of the things you love is to go in and be straight up front with people, which is bang on theme for your brand. This is a cold call. Do you want to hang up now, or do you want to give me 30 seconds of your time to tell you why I called, or whatever it is that you come out with? Is that something you have consistently done and seen work? And is that something you recommend?
Yes, I've always done variations of it.
Yeah.
And there's lots out there. I found, so when I first started in sales, I used to always be quite honest anyway. So when I first started, I used to put on a fake stutter, because I realized people won't hang up on a guy with a stutter because it's rude, right? Yeah. So I intuitively figured out that if you were honest or you struggled, people helped you more. And I didn't know why. So as I progressed through this journey, I started to understand the psychology.
Yeah.
And the reason why going in with a clear, upfront, open and honest, it's called a pattern interrupt. That everybody knows what a pattern interrupt. It's just doing something like, and when you go in, particularly at director level, MD, CEO, if you go in so directly, brutally honest with them, first of all, they appreciate it because their time is the number one thing they value the most. So they like the fact that you cut through all the bullshit. These people hate someone that take 30 words when 3 would have sufficed. And they finish your sentences for you because they're trying to move you on.
Yep.
So if you go straight in with few words, secondly, by telling somebody what to do, by saying, do you want to hang up? You trigger their internal rebellious kid who says, no, fuck you.
Reverse psychology, love it.
Reverse psychology, because when you go to the museum and it says, do not touch, what does everybody do? They go, or do not walk on the grass. Everybody puts their toe on it, right? Because by nature, we are rebellious. We don't like to be. So the moment you say to a senior decision maker, do you want to hang up? Instinctively, the reaction is no. So I've got them where I want them. They can still be grumpy, right? But it's no longer, it's not a cold call. Because the moment they say no, it's not an unsolicited conversation. It's permission-based. So I do it because 95% of the time, if you do it right, delivery is key. You know, if you deliver it weak, it doesn't work. But 95% of the time, you normally get a laugh when done well. And I've literally just had a referral come in from a client yesterday. Said he was prospecting, got through to the managing director, and the MD said, I fucking love your phone style. I love your approach. And he goes, oh, I'll give you my trader's name. And he's reached out, you know? So it works because people at the top want you to be to the point, cut to the chase. They like honesty. The easiest way to bond with a human being is, what do they call it? I've forgotten the phrase now. Honesty. It's before, there's a word before. I can't remember. Can't remember it, but it's gosh, my brain has gone. What is the? It's transparent honesty or something like that. But it's disarming. Disarming. That's the word.
Yes.
Disarming honesty, and in that split second, they have to make a decision. Well, do I hang up or do I listen? If they say, yeah, I want to hang up, do you know what's funny is most people don't just hang up, though. There's this pause because they're waiting for you to beg them to stay. So what I do at this moment is somebody So they say, yeah, I'll hang up. Then there's this pause. I go, well, you got to go first. And then they tend to go, well, what's it about? I thought you were going to hang up.
Love it.
And if I get a guy chuckling or slightly moving, then I can have a conversation. Doesn't mean it'll go anywhere, but I'm not letting myself be thrown out. I don't bail out of calls, and that's the other thing. Salespeople bail. They always find a reason to push the eject button.
Yeah.
Whereas I keep going until I've realized there's literally nothing there. And I've heard people go, look, Benjamin, honestly, I've got to go. Really, I've really got to do it. What do I care, right? They don't know me. I don't want to be their friend. The worst thing that can happen is who do they complain to? I don't know. Yeah. So that's why I have no fear as well. People got to no fear. The worst thing that can happen is they hang up on you, or really bad, they phone your boss. And if your boss has told you to make cold calls, he's hardly going to have a go at you.
Yeah, good.
So no fear.
And that is something that you have to. So some people will either bring it to the table naturally because of their personality. Yeah. Some people care, right? We care. We want. You said earlier, we want to be liked. Yeah. Cold calling goes completely against the grain on that, because typically you're not liked if you're making cold calls, or you know, from the people receiving them. Can you learn that? Can you learn to not care, or is it just something you can?
Absolutely, because I used to be exactly that way.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm an extroverted person, which means I like to be stroked. I like people to like me. I like to have attention. You know, this is what all salespeople put on their CVs. I love meeting people. You know, they're obsessed, and so if they weren't in sales, they'd be in hospitality. You know, they'd be working at a pub or being a waiter, because I get to interact, because I just love the little exchange. Yeah. So we're all driven by that. And I was like that, but I realized very quickly, first of all, no one gives a rat's ass about me, what I sell, or who I am. So that's important. So once I figure that, the other thing I realized is at the end of the day, I'm doing this for a purpose. And when I pick up the phone, and it goes back to mindset, and you have to practice this because it takes a long time to develop. When I pick up the phone, the average salesperson, when the phone is dialing to a CEO or an MD, you know what they're thinking. It's, please don't answer. Please don't answer. Yeah, they want to look busy, but they don't want to be productive.
Yep.
So what they do is, I made my $60. Yeah, but most of the time they were hoping no one would answer. Then somebody answers, and they're like a deer in headlights. Hi, how are you? And all of a sudden it's gone. So as the phone's dialing, and I teach all my clients, as the phone's dialing, I'm sitting there thinking, this fucker had better answer. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, because if he does, and he has problems I fix, this is probably the best call this guy's going to take all day. Yeah. So I'm going in with a mindset of, in fact, he should be thanking me for phoning him. And that's the mindset you have to have.
Yeah.
And if you like that, when they answer, you're ready to go. You're not shocked. You expected it. If you're expecting them to not answer, if you're expecting them to be rude, if you're expecting them to hang up, what happens? They do, because you, by your behavior, encourage them to behave like that.
You're great at getting people to reflect on their own behavior and understanding that it starts there and looking inward. And I think that's a fantastic thing to do with people. So you have to be open to that and taking that on. I'm conscious that the next part of the conversation is usually, and you've touched it a few times, I'm talking about the challenges or the problems that I fix. I've listened to or watched a couple of the videos of you making calls, and you go through them without telling people what you do. There's no explanation of we do this. It's not about us. No. It's very focused on the people I work with have these challenges. Do they
have them? Yes or no?
That's it. That's literally
it. So I always use the COVID analogy. If I had the cure, not the vaccine, I could cure COVID. I created it. And I wanted to sell it. I wanted people to buy it from me. What I do is I pick a residential street, and I'd knock on the door, and I wouldn't say, hey, I've created the cure for COVID. What it does, it's a mixture and extrapolation of this, and this. We've tested it in labs. I'm a Harvard educated, blah, 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 blah. Can I come and talk to you about it? Because people would slam the doors. Like, fuck off. So what I do is I would talk about the symptoms of COVID. So I've just been talking to some of your neighbors, and some of them are worried about a cough they can't get rid of. Others have been complaining about aches and pains that they don't have. And a few have been saying that they've lost their sense of smell. But you're probably telling me you don't recognize that. And they say, oh, actually, I do. You know, It's possible you could have COVID. I'm not saying you do, but it's possible. Could I come in and chat to you about the cure for COVID? Yeah, that makes sense. So all you got to do is talk about things that your prospect can relate to in their world that they are suffering from that you fix.
Yeah.
And ask them, do they have them? If they say no, you move on. You don't get into a fight. Well, yes, you should, you bloody idiot. You know, what you say is, all right, you're on a profile target of people or businesses we know at some point will experience this. I'm just going to call you back in 6 weeks because there's a chance in 6 weeks. And that's how you do it. So no one's ever off the prospecting list. What it means is at this moment in time, they don't recognize problems we fix. So there's no point talking to them. I want someone who says, well, it's funny you say that. I do recognize that. Maybe we should talk more. And that's all prospecting is. And it's getting someone emotional. And most people don't know. You ask the average salesman, what is the purpose of a prospecting call? And they'll say things like get an appointment, make a sale, understand need, find pain. I said, those are good answers, but they're all outcomes. They're not purpose. What's the purpose? And the purpose is to take someone who's sitting at their desk intellectually happy and make them feel emotional, just a little bit of emotion about whatever it is that you fix. Because if I get them saying, well, no, you got a point there. I do recognize that. Then they're going to say, okay, well, what is it you do? Or what? Got them. But if you can't hook them with that, then they're never going to want to talk to you. You can't intellectualize someone into buying something.
This is fantastic. I want to talk about one thing though before we run out of time, which is you know where I'm going with this, don't you? So you talk a lot about charging for proposals, and I love the concept. It challenges my way of thinking, definitely. I just want to touch on it. I just want to get it out of your head and understand. You can clearly do it because you're out there doing it. You're coaching clients to do it. I've seen testimonials of people doing it. What I'm trying to understand is if there's a right time to do it and a wrong time to do it, or should everybody be looking to try and charge for proposals?
Again, let's use the term proposal loosely. Does it? Because that people conjure up an image of a proposal.
It's a valid point,
What I mean by seller proposal is if you get in front of decision makers, so I'm not low-level people, maybe you shouldn't be there, but let's say you get in front of a managing director. I want to know that at the end of this meeting, we're either not moving forwards together or we are. And that next step, whatever it is going to have some financial attachment to it. So it's not a proposal per se, but if you've only got a one call close structure where it goes meeting, proposal, present, close, then you could probably sell it. But if you've got slightly more longer, but the next step, so if you're selling sophisticated systems, you're not selling a proposal, you'd be selling, and we've got to come in and spend a day with your people and understand all your systems. Now, we don't do that for free. Just like a lawyer says, well, look, you're going to have half an hour of my time, but I charge 200 quid for that call. So it's not unheard of. It's not. So I do it. I sell taster sessions. Look, no one's going to sign up to 6 months of training with me based on this call. So what we do is the next step is I come and we do a little taster, but that's not free. And so it doesn't matter what you sell, you can do it. And it's first, I won't show you how to hear because it's what people pay, but you've got to structure it. You've got to set this up right. You can't just say at the end of the, oh, by the way, the next step's going to cost you X. Because it won't work. So you've got to, everything is set up. I'm always seeding things. Everything's slowly seeded. And the best place to seed it is right at the beginning of the meeting. And I tell them, you do realize that if we decide to move forward, the next step is X. And they say, yeah, I'm happy with that, but we are going to charge for that. Now, if you're going to argue about money, you might as well do it now. So you can do it. Now, I've got accountants who said can't be done doing it. I've had tech companies said, no, you can't now, industry, no one pay doing it because they've never asked. And the one thing I love, I'll never forget this. I had a client phone me, a managing director of a tech company based in Hampshire. I've been working with him for about 6 months. And he plucked up the courage to charge for the next step, which he'd never done before. And he phoned me up after, I've solved one. I said, get out. He goes, yeah. He goes, I go, what was the most interesting thing about the experience? He goes, it was his reaction. I said, why? He goes, well, I did not expect it. Their product's normally 100 to 150K. So it's a big purchase. And he said, I said to the guy, what we're going to have to do was going to da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I said, and that'll cost you 5K. And he goes, his reaction was, seems reasonable. And he goes, it just threw, because I just thought he would say, fuck off. Or what the hell you want? But he literally said, seems reasonable. And he sold since I last spoke with him over 30 of these things at 5K. It's a new income stream. And do you know what the close rate is on people that pay you to figure out how to fix their problem?
High.
It's virtually 100%.
Yeah.
But it takes guts to do that. But if you're in front of someone, he says, well, we've met with 2 other companies, they haven't charged. Instantly, I'm thinking, get the hell out of here. You are wasting my time. You are just brain raping these companies for their knowledge.
So really what we're not saying is charge for just a proposal all the time. We're saying charge for a step, charge for part of the sales process, give value in it. But
if at the end of that first engagement, you can't get them to commit to paying you something, the odds of you getting a bigger deal is even harder. And it filters out tire kickers, because people who aren't serious, who are just there simply to use you, or to confirm a decision they've already made, or whatever, they run a mile. No, I'm not doing that. I go back further now. I charge people to talk to me. I get so many people sending me emails, Benjamin, I just so love your stuff, would love to have a chat with you. Come here. I get nothing done. So I email everybody back and I say, look, I appreciate the message. As you can appreciate, I get a lot of emails like this. Look, all I do is book a consult call. It's 100 quid. And if at the end of it we decide to work together, you'll get it back. But if not, we'll know. 85% of approaches evaporate.
Yeah, gone.
Never hear from them. They ghost me, and I just laugh to myself every time. The 15% that pay, 95% close rate. The 5% that don't are because we've agreed it's not right.
Right. Yeah.
And people say, but haven't you scared someone off? If someone is scared to give me 100 quid for thousands of pounds of training, then they were never going to do anything anyway.
Yeah. So all you've done is made yourself more efficient.
All I do is exactly. The one thing we as salespeople can't make more of is time. We can make more money, more clients, more data. Time is ticking. It's finite. And I don't want to be kissing frogs. Just princesses in my case. Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Well, look, Benjamin, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Genuinely, I've loved listening to you. And it's even better than engaging with you on LinkedIn and liking and commenting on your content. And I hope that we can meet in person at some stage as well. But thank you so much for joining us on the podcast and for sharing your thoughts. If people do want to get in touch with you and they do want to pay £100 to talk to you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, it's not hard to find me. So my website is obviously UK's with an S, most hated sales trainer.com. LinkedIn. If you get me on LinkedIn, the only caveat I'd say is if you do send me a message, give me a bit of time because I get a lot. And if I don't email you back within a few days, chase me because messages just get moved. And I don't know anyone's names. I have no relation. So it's very easy for me to forget that you contacted me. I do try to get back to everybody, even if it's a no. But so just LinkedIn, or you can go to my website. But LinkedIn is probably the best. Oh, no, actually Substack.
Oh, hello.
Yes, Substack. Actually, Substack's got a lot of content, and content that doesn't go on YouTube or LinkedIn is also going on Substack.
Nice.
So join me on Substack as well.
And what? Just to clarify, what sort of companies do you typically work with? Who do you typically help solve those problems that we talk about?
Well, I'm not particularly fussed. I tend to want to work with companies who've got sales teams of at least 5 to 6 salespeople.
Yeah.
They've got to have a managing director who acknowledges they need to change. So the MD always has to be on board. Secondly, you need to have salespeople that want to change. So I turn down a lot of businesses because one of the conditions is I say to them, will your people pay towards their training? And if they're not wanting to pay towards their own training, don't get me in. You're literally wasting your money. I'll have a room of hostages. Because if an MD goes to a room full of salespeople and says, guys, I'm thinking about getting some sales training, what do you think? They're all going to say yes because they want to keep their job.
Yeah.
If you say to them, okay, but I want you to pay, no, I'm all right. So I don't want to work with people that don't want to change. So I'm very particular in who I take on. You've got to convince me that you've got a room full of people that actually want to get better. Otherwise, we're wasting our time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Benjamin,
so I don't need their money. I want people.
Yeah. And you said earlier, 85% don't, right? So you're looking for a finite market.
We are.
Love it.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Been an absolute pleasure. Hope you'll join us again at some time in the future as well, and really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Anytime.